If anyone's out there wondering why they're looking at a frozen screen, don't worry. It will unfreeze shortly. I'm going to be rewatching an IG run I did last night to add some commentary. If you have any specific questions about the run, please bring them up so I can make everything as clear as possible. I guess I might as well get started. So this is Iggy. This is a freeware game by a guy called Daniel Ramar, released quite a while ago now. Last update was 2007, I think. It's most often described as a Metroidvania, but it has a few mechanics that set it apart from that genre. Most importantly, it has a leveling and attribute system. If you see in the bottom right, there are 7 stats: attack, health, assimilate, strength, crack, tazen, and kamato. And as you progress through the game, you can put points into those attributes to do things. Most of them are kind of lock and key mechanics. Some of them let you wield new weapons, and some of them do practical things like give you health and let you deal more damage. So this run is not any percent, it's all items, which is a category I made up in order to showcase the game's cool secrets, which you wouldn't see in any percent. It's kind of like 100%, but I'm not calling it that because 100% is hard to define in this game. It has lots of stuff in it, which you can't all get in one playthrough. And all items makes pretty heavy use of the attribute system because a lot of the secrets require you to spec your attributes in really specific ways. And so doing them all in one run requires a pretty complicated route. So what you saw me do there is put a point into strength. Strength lets you kick things. It lets you kick down progressively tougher doors and enemies. So I got, in each sector there's 3 things I'm going to be getting: a poster, a ribbon, and a supercharge. The sector 1 poster is not very well hidden. You just go back to the start of the game with 2 strength and kick down a door. Here I'm putting all my points into strength, so I can hit level 4, which lets me knock down the blue guys, which are called Tazen soldiers. The reason for that, I'm going to get a little bit more exotic. I'm going to lure this guy over to the left. It's completely luck how long it takes him to move. I get pretty bad luck here. So I'm going to lure him to the left, kick him down this slope, lure him over to the left again, and have him fire a rocket, which lets me destroy this wall, which I couldn't destroy on my own. And that's how you get the supercharge. Soon I'll be able to destroy walls myself, but for now I have to rely on these guys. So what else about this game? It's not as focused on exploration as something like Super Metroid. It's more like Mega Man X because it has a level structure. You can't revisit earlier areas of the game. And compared to a Metroid game, it has more of a focus on combat. A lot of different weapons and some pretty cool bosses. One of the things for this run, because you need to put a lot of points into attributes, you need to actually go out of your way to collect experience, or nano as it's called in this game. The amount of nano you get throughout the course of the run is going to vary because you can't guarantee how many enemies you'll kill. So figuring out exactly how much nano to get and which nano drops to get is kind of complicated. So there's the second weapon of the game, the resonance detonator. This is what I'm going to be using for a lot of the run. It lets me destroy crates and doors without stopping, basically. I will say this game is tragically undervalued by the speedrunning community. And I think one of the big reasons for this is the game's maker, Daniel Ramar, actually created a segmented 80% run for SDA, which is extremely high quality, and I kind of think that run scared off people from providing any competition. But yeah, obviously it's segmented and it aims for in-game time, so it has a pretty big difference to the runs I've been doing in recent times. So you saw me do a death warp there. There are checkpoints, and there are death warps. Here I intentionally take damage from that turret in order to be invincible when going through that red enemy, because he's a bitch and he can one-shot me. This part is kind of scary. If necessary for a marathon, I could not use the death warp, so I have the checkpoint as a backup, but it's probably not necessary. I have to use enemies again here. I'm going to activate this turret, then bang. It'll rocket jump me up to this ledge. Which is the reason I had to put a point into health. That wasn't for safety, that was just so I could survive the rocket. A lot of the run you have to spend on very low health because you can't afford to put the points anywhere else, which is kind of scary. So here the point of the route I'm taking in this sector is to get all the way up to level 6 Tasen, which lets me wield the rocket launcher. Getting the rocket launcher in Sector 2 is obviously much earlier than you're supposed to, but it's necessary to get the supercharge, because I can blow up this wall. Anyway, I was saying about this segmented run, the only time this run has been seen at a marathon that I know of is LL Cool Dave ran Pacifist at AGDQ 2012. One of the things this game is known for is that you can the game sort of changes depending on how many enemies you kill throughout the run, and there's an option to go through the entire game without killing anything, and it actually changes the game pretty significantly. But for a speedrun, Pacifist is actually not all that different to any percent. Anyway, the existence of Ramar's run is what made me want to run a different category, one that shows off different aspects of the game. Here's a really silly strat. I'm gonna get this guy to damage me and then use the invincibility to blow up this crate. There are other ways to do that. You can just shoot the crate with a rocket from the left, but the damage strat can be faster and is cooler. So because I haven't killed any enemies at this point in the run, these guys offer me a truce, which stops any of the Tasen in Sector 3 from attacking me. The truce doesn't save any time whatsoever, and I have to break it at the end of the sector. This sector is kind of dull because I'm going to be spending pretty much the entire time collecting nano. But there's some cool stuff at the end of it. Breaking the truce is technically a few frames faster, because it means you can do things like walk through these crates without jumping on them. Sometimes I don't bother breaking the trees, sometimes I do. There's like a tiny chance you can get punished for breaking the trees if one of the guys shoots a rocket at you at an inopportune moment. But most of the time it's not going to make any difference. So the enemies in this area I am going to kill for two reasons. One, for the nano, and two, so they don't get in my way when I'm doing other stuff. These guys can be pretty annoying because they can duck under your rockets if the AI feels like it. So I put 2 points into Kamato, which lets me pick up a weapon called the Pulse Cannon, and then the rest of the points into Crack, which lets me perform a weapon fusion. Kamato and Tazen, all those stats do is let you wield more weapons. Crack lets you do a few different things, but the most important is it lets you use, what are they called? Something, fusion stations, I don't know. Those things to make new weapons, which are often pretty game breaking. The weapon I make here is called the Pulse Cannon. It's purely for puzzles. It lets you like blow up doors from a distance, which you can't do normally. So here I'm going to do a repeat of what I did in Sector 1. I'm going to lure this guy to the left and knock him down a slope. It's actually a her, but whatever. Then lure her further to the left. I miss a rocket here, which is a really ugly mistake, but luckily she shoots another one right afterwards. So yeah, I need to use her to rocket jump out here to get the poster. So the first boss is here. He is a pushover. You can skip this boss fight in any percent, but unfortunately you can't in all items. You have to maintain the truce to skip the boss fight, and because you have to aggro that enemy to get the rocket jump, you have to break the truce to do that. So I'm just going to shoot this guy with stuff until he dies. That's my plan. The start of this run is a little slow paced, I will admit. It starts getting really crazy around Sector 5 or 6. Well, maybe crazy is an overstatement. So we've got vehicles in this game too. These things are called shredders. They let you go really fast and they blow up everything. Take me to the supercharge. I put all my points into Tazen, which lets me wield a weapon called the Devastator, which is the best weapon in the game by a huge margin. And getting this one is much earlier than you're supposed to get it. I have to do another death warp here. This one is pretty hard because there are health drops lying around. And sure enough, I'm gonna get hit here but land on a health drop, which makes the death warp pretty slow. That guy punches you like most of the time. As far as I know, there's no way to dodge it. But at least he punches you in the right direction, so it's not so bad. So because I can't spare any attribute points, I do have to do this section and the next couple of levels at level 2 health, which is a little scary, but it's pretty consistent to not die. As long as you're careful. I'm not being careful here, but there is health lying around, so it's not so bad. This segment's a real pain if these guys decide to shoot. I get good luck here with the shredder guy not turning around. So to get the poster in this sector, I have to take this shredder from all the way at the start of the level down to here. From a, well, during a casual playthrough, Sector 5 is where the game gets really cool, because the focus shifts to the combat between different NPCs. There are two, like, factions of bad guys, and they fight each other in the background, basically, throughout the entire game. The AI actually prioritizes killing each other over killing you. I get pretty lucky here that those guys were already dead, and there was Nano lying around when I got there. There's an enemy here who died, and when that happens, it is an enormous relief, because he is a pain. He has spread rockets, which you can't really dodge, and he loves to use them. So I'm going to put 9 into crack and make a weapon called the nuke. The nuke is basically cheating because it just hits everything on the screen, which is useful in a variety of places. Here it lets me blow up this floor. And now I'm going to use the Devastator for the first time in the run. And you'll see what makes it so great. The Devastator's knockback is like ludicrous. It sends you flying. And dev jumping lets you get to places you wouldn't be able to normally get. Additionally, it's like way faster than walking. I actually made a mistake there. I forgot part of the route. After you get that nano down there and come back up, you're supposed to put another point into crack to get to level 10, which I forgot. It's easy to forget. Luckily there is a backup, which I'll do later. These guys are super aggressive. Alright, so now that we got the nuke, we're gonna head back up here to get the poster. We get to just blow up all of these guys, which is nice. These guys at the top can be a pain. If you manage to not take damage, you can do a pretty huge damage boost to the left, but I ended up just walking. It's alright, it's not much slower. So the second boss is coming up, and if you thought the last one was tough, man, this one is gonna take everything I got. Now you just one-shot him with a nuke. It's the game's reward for you getting such a powerful item so early, I guess. In fact, you have to one-shot him with a nuke to get the supercharge, so... Alright, so Sector 6 is where the game gets, like, really complicated and difficult. I'm going to be doing a lot of things in this sector. Around this point I realised I hadn't put 10 into crack, so I take this little detour, which loses a fair bit of time and results in me taking a missile to the face, but I think that's fair punishment. So we're going to unlock this super secret area up here. And then kill some guys so they don't get in the way. So here I do something called rebooting my nano field, which is a stupid name, but basically it resets all your attributes to 1 and lets you reinvest the attribute points as you want, which is essential because you just don't have enough points to put everything you need for all the different things in this route. So I'm respecking here to put 10 into Kamato, which lets me wield a weapon over here called the CFIS. There's only one this early in the game, and I need it. So with the CFIS I can make a weapon called the Velocithor, which is basically wave beam. Goes through walls, which is pretty useful for some puzzles. You can't actually see what I'm doing, but by firing it here I blow up some crates over to the left, which I need to do so I can get up to the poster. The Velocithor is also really good at killing things, but that's less relevant. This part of the game I kind of wish I could afford to put more points into health, but in the worst case scenario there is a checkpoint here. So I do use the Velocithor to kill some guys just to make this bit a little simpler. Then I take some damage, which is perfect, because after activating the switch I want to Death Warp. As you may have noticed, when I got hit by a rocket I sort of turned yellow and didn't get knocked back. That's called teching. There are already several points in the run where I should have done it and failed. It's pretty hard. You basically press C, press use, like, I don't know the exact window, something like 2 frames before getting hit, and that produces the knockback. there I do it again. It's guys worth mentioning the number of enemies you kill is kind of relevant because at the end of Sector 9 there's a thing that triggers if you have fewer than 45 total kills at that point in the run, which it would be nice to be able to consistently trigger that, but I don't think you can. Like, if you do strats and not kill enemies, it makes the run much harder. For example, when I used the Velocithor to kill a bunch of guys in that corridor, obviously that kind of ruins my chances of hitting the 45 target. So Sector 7 is probably the hardest in the run. It might even be worth putting more points into health at this point, although I'm going to be rebooting again soon. Spoilers. I get great luck here that none of these guys attack me. So the reason I take this opportunity to reboot is that I need to put some points into more practical things like health and attack instead of just, the puzzle stats. I put 2 points into something called Assimilate, which increases my max ammo, which hasn't been remotely relevant up till now, but will be relevant for something coming up later. Here I go up to 6 attack and then leave 3 points unallocated. The reason for that is I want to go up to 6 health at the end of the sector, but before then I want to Death Warp, so I leave my health underdeveloped. 2 would be better, but I go for 3 just for safety. So here I take a huge detour, and the only reason for this is to pick up these little bits of Devastator ammo. And yes, they really are that important. I have to conserve Devastator ammo through this entire sector, which sucks because there are some really cool damage jumps you can do here. Those guys are pretty nice to me. So to get the poster I need to use first the pulse cannon or hyperpulse to blow up that thing, and then I do something called a nuke jump, The nuke has pretty unique knockback, and it's the only way to get across small gaps like that. So I have to destroy this thing over here called the Phantom Hammer. In any percent you can use the nuke to hit it in one shot, and also get rid of these annoying enemies, but I don't have that luxury, so I'm gonna muddle my way through this segment a little awkwardly. This could have gone better. But I don't die. That's the main thing. This game has pretty good music. So the reason I've been putting stuff into health, putting stuff into attack, and stockpiling ammo is for a boss coming up. This boss is called Proxima. He is a huge dick. So the way the Proxima fight works, he's supposed to be more or less impervious to your weapons. You're supposed to use stage hazards to kill him, but in order to get the supercharge for this sector you have to kill him just with guns, and that takes a long time. So this fight is going to look pretty boring, which is great. I want this fight to be as boring as possible, because what I'm doing here is getting him into an AI loop which stops him attacking for the entire fight. Setting up the loop is kind of luck based, and maintaining it for the fight is kind of precise. But it's so much better than having to fight him properly, because he flies around, he attacks, it's a mess. And if you miss shots, then you're in trouble, because I have like more or less exactly enough ammo to kill him. So the loop is really the only way to go. I got good luck in this fight. He did his sort of homing attack right at the start, which is the easiest way to set up the loop. Sometimes you can wait ages for him to do it, while he flies around being annoying. I'm going to save one ammo at the end of this fight for use in the next sector, which may or may not be a good idea, but his health is low enough I can finish him off with rockets here. The eagle-eyed viewer will notice that I'm playing on low detail, which changes the way the boss's health is displayed, so it's actually kind of a disadvantage because you can't see as precisely how close to death they are. The reason for that is this game is not very compatible with like recent versions of Windows, and even on high-spec computers, some parts of the game lag pretty badly. But I found on this machine, if I play on low detail, I have no lag at all. So this sector introduces these guys called Annihilators. They are large and in charge, and I have to kill 2 of them, which is time consuming. They have a lot of health. But I have to kill 2 to get the sector supercharged. The sector supercharged is extremely silly. The reason I kind of approached that guy and then changed my mind was if he'd been closer to the elevator, I would have done a rocket jump off of him, but because he was so far to the left, I didn't bother. I could have rocket jumped off that guy, the Tazen Elite, but it's a waste of ammo to shoot him. I want to use all my ammo on the Annihilators. So if I get good luck, this guy will shoot me over to the ledge on the right, but he never ever does, so I have to shoot myself. And over here is the poster. So now back to killing Annihilators. So I have to completely clear this area of enemies so that I can kick this turret's head all the way through the level. The turret's head will get destroyed by splash damage if I leave any enemies alive. And when you finally deposit it in this corner, a literal Easter egg appears along with the supercharge. This sector has a pretty lengthy cutscene at the end where, spoilers, your brother dies. I briefly toyed with the idea of actually saving, there's a thing you can do to save your brother's life, which I thought might be faster just because the cutscene is so much shorter, but it turns out it's not, so I'm afraid he has to die. This goes pretty badly because this guy keeps ducking my rockets. So I end up just waiting for the next wave of enemies to spawn and then nuking them all at once, which is fine. You get to rocket jump into this cutscene, which is fun. Unfortunately, you can't rocket jump past it. So Sector 9, we're in the home stretch. The start of Sector 9 is identical to any percent because there's a bunch of like actual gameplay stuff you have to do, which is honestly pretty a good change from all the silly rocket jumps. I've been stockpiling level up points for a while now. This isn't because I'm out of uses. I'm actually going to need them all in this sector. Because the poster for this sector requires level 10 health. And something later requires something else. This shredder provides a huge shortcut because it lets you break through strength doors without actually having any points in strength. Something I didn't realize until I tried to do it without the shredder. So we're going to head up here. And where the ribbon is, we're going to max out our health. This sector is something I've spent quite a lot of time routing because it's really awkward. I definitely need 10 health here, but I also really want to die later, which you'll see why. For a while I thought that it was faster to still death warp with 10 health than to reboot, but turned out I was completely wrong. And you'll see a lot of time save on this sector as a result of that route change. So yeah, the reason I need 10 health is because I need to do 9 rocket jumps to get all the way up here. And there's a lot more than just the poster. So I'm going to max out my Kamato and pick up the awesome banana gun, which shoots exploding bananas, but is no joke. I'm actually going to use it in the speedrun. I mentioned at the start of the run that the amount of nano you collect by the end is kind of inconsistent. There have been runs where I've been unable to pick up the banana gun as a result, which doesn't lose much time because there are strats that don't require it, but honestly it's so much fun to shoot bananas that it would be a real shame if I didn't get there, so I'll probably be pretty cautious about the nano I pick up. So here I'm going to reboot for the last time. And in addition to making this death warp faster, the reboot actually has a couple of other advantages which took me a while to realize. It lets you max out your attack here, which is great for the boss fight coming up. And, well, you'll see this later, but not having max health for the boss fight is actually an advantage, because it lets me do something called the Retribution, which you'll see in a minute. So I have to take this enormous detour to get the supercharge. So death warping down here is really the only way out. In this run, I gave myself 4 health to fight the boss, which I figured would be fine because you have like 3 or 4 when you do this bit in any percent. But as you'll see, I went a little overcautious. I mean, not cautious enough. For the marathon, I would definitely give myself more health. I'm going to crack a few weapons here. The nuke and the Velocithor you've seen already. The Buster Gun you haven't. That has one very specific use at the end of the run, which I'll explain when I get there. So this is Iosa the Invincible, which is a pretty lengthy and tricky boss fight. So this is the Retribution, which is a secret special technique which does a ton of damage with level 10 attack, and you can only use it when you take damage that reduces your health to 5 or less, which is why not being 10 health here is good. One of the disadvantages of doing the reboot is I go down to 1 health there. It means you don't have much ammo, which I thought would be a big deal for this fight, but it's kind of not, because you spend most of the fight using the stage hazards instead of the Devastator anyway. This is also, I mentioned something about a special bonus thing happening if you have fewer than 45 kills. If you have fewer than 45 kills, an NPC spawns to help you with this fight, and she speeds it up quite a bit because she does a lot of damage. But like I said, it's not really practical to consistently trigger that in a run. Kind of a sloppy fight, but got the job done. Ace's second phase is purely luck. I got good luck here. She can have like one of 3 attacks, and that one is the only one that lets you kill her, basically. So, the last sector, and it's time for the banana gun to shine. Banana strats are not the only way to get up here, but they are by far the most fun. That's the last poster. Now, this sector is kind of weird. So first of all, falling all the way down here and taking this elevator up is kind of slow. The alternative is to do a really precise nuke jump 3 times, which I didn't bother with in this run because I figured I'd probably run out of ammo and or fail it. So the way this sector works, what you're supposed to do is destroy this the blast core by opening 2 sets of doors. But what I just did was shoot the blast core with the Velocithor, which destroys it immediately, lets me skip the entire sector. That's what you do in any percent. But to get the supercharge, you have to blow up the blast core early and then open the doors anyway. Just for I don't know, just to make the game longer, I guess. In this sector I finally get to use the Velocithor to actually kill stuff. It makes all the combat pretty easy. So the reason I made the Buster Gun is the boss fight that I managed to one-shot in Sector 5, that guy comes back, and this time he's mad. He's immune to all weapons except your basic shotgun, and the Buster Gun, because that is considered the same thing as a shotgun. And the Buster Gun has a much higher DPS than the shotgun, so that's why I made one, just to make this fight fast. And it does make the fight very fast. This guy is kind of a pushover. So that's the second line of doors opened, and now we can get the supercharge. So that's 10 posters down, 10 supercharges down, 1 ribbon left. The rest of Sector X is basically just using the Velocithor to blow stuff up, which is fine. So we get a super ominous build up to the final boss. Put our health to 10, just because we can, don't really need it. And pick up a ton of Devastator ammo. The game also gives you the Resonance Reflector here, which I haven't bothered making one up to now, but you need one to fight this guy. This guy is Tor, and he is pretty badass. It is a suitably epic final boss fight. He's huge. He was like custom modeled and then imported into the game, and he lags like a bitch if you're playing on high detail. This boss fight is really hard to do like optimally. The segmented SDA run does 5 Devastator shots per cycle, which is, I mean, in my experience, it's like really inconsistent to go for in single segment. So I usually go for 4, and sometimes only 3 if I mess up. Dodging towards attacks is kind of interesting, because you're not always supposed to. There are often times when getting hit by something and teching it is actually faster than dodging it. And there's also another level to the fight, because the way Tor's AI works, if he hits you with an attack, he becomes more likely to use that attack later. And you can see this really clearly in the SDA run, because Irma gets a pattern which lets him get 5 shots in, and it involves getting hit a couple of times. And as a result, he starts getting that pattern more and more. So obviously there's a kind of risk-reward thing going on here with, because the resonance reflector has a really, really long cooldown time, so you want to switch to it as early as possible. And here I choke pretty badly. I switched to it too late because I want to get more shots in. I was pretty nervous on this fight just because, I think every speedrunner gets nervous when they see minus a minute, even when the run isn't particularly optimized. And okay, I need a couple more cycles to go. We choke again. Missed that one by a fraction of a second. So yeah, a little bit of time loss, but it's not too bad. And that's it. That's AG. So around the middle of the run, there are definitely some points where it's possible to die. And for that reason, I'll be submitting the game with a fairly high estimate. Because if you die, obviously you have to restart the sector and lose a couple of minutes. But I'm pretty confident that I can make my chances of death minimal. None of the strats are too hard. You got to rely on the enemies to cooperate a little bit, but obviously you're not doing anything overwhelmingly risky. This run is neat. A lot of secrets, a lot of damage boosts, a lot of combat. It's a game that deserves a lot more recognition, I think. Think how much speedrunning gets done of Cave Story, and then this gets no love at all. So yeah, that's all I got to say. Good you all items. ESA 2015. Keep on sexing. Alright, the highlight ends there, so I can finally talk to chat again. Hi chat. You had real fun with your pyramids today, didn't you? I actually did Pyro, yeah. I made sure to mention that. This guy up here is a mini-boss. When I first was routing this category, I thought it might be faster to activate this boss fight and get killed to use the Death Warp, but sadly it's not. Actually I'm not going to highlight this at all because my internet went down, which sucks, but I'll just upload the local recording instead. I have kind of nothing else to say. I'm not going to do any runs of anything tonight. This stream was just for this. So I will be signing off, I think. I really want to do more Zero Mission 80%, but I can't stream this weekend. Maybe tomorrow night, but not Saturday or Sunday. I'll take it should take me just a couple more attempts to get that 80% PV, and then I can do some early ice 100%. I'm so fucking excited for for this route. It's so dumb. I don't know if you guys have tried the glitch in real time. It's pretty easy. Although, if you fail it, I think you're kind of fucked. Um, I don't know, I haven't actually tried like triggering it again with the second bunch of bugs. I don't know if it works with the second bunch of bugs or if it has to be the first bunch. But yeah, the glitch is super silly. And it's just amazing that it works at all. It's literally easier than the speed jumps that we do there normally. Like, that's just stupid. I love it. Alright, okay, I'm gonna cut the stream. Thanks guys for hanging out. See ya soon.